Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another session of The Sanctuary. This is our space for reflection, growth, and connection. I'm your girl and guide, Mariah Miles, licensed therapist, minister, and overall creative, and I am so glad you are here with me today. I hope you're feeling the energy of spring and that you've had a chance to connect with nature in a mindful way. We continue to follow along with the prompts from my journal, Busy Minds, Peaceful Hearts. So sit back, relax. It's time to tune in. Last week in session 12, we were focused on mindfulness in nature. And I hope you've been able to connect with the earth in some way. If you're just joining us or want a reminder, please go back and listen in. As we continue our journey of mindfulness, let's take a moment to come to a place of stillness. Today we're going to do a simple somatic practice to help you regulate your nervous system. This practice can help you to come to a place of calm, which is really a powerful way to distinguish between the energy of anxiety and inspiration. So I invite you to find a comfortable position, whether you're sitting or laying down. Gently interlace your hands at the base of your skull, supporting your head. Make sure that your head is centered. And slowly, very slowly, turn your eyes to look as far to the left side as is comfortable. There's no need to push or strain here. Just go as far as feels good. And hold this position for a few seconds or until you feel a sense of release, like a yawn or a sigh or some sort of gentle yielding or softening on that side of your body. Gently bring your eyes back to center. And now slowly turn your eyes to look as far to the right side as is comfortable for you. Be sure to keep your head still so that only your eyes are moving. Again, there's no need to push or strain here. And allow yourself to hold this position for a few seconds, or once again until you feel a sense of release. And gently bring your eyes back to center. Then you can repeat this practice a few times, just paying attention to what feels right in your body. With every turn of your eyes, letting your body relax a little bit more. Staying in tune with your breath. Noticing any sensations that arise. Noticing what this feels like. As we come back, gently notice how your body is feeling. Did you feel any release of tension? Any sense of calm? What did you notice? Any shifts in your energy? Just take a moment to simply be present with the sensations in your body. And now that we're grounded, rooted to this place in the earth, let's turn our attention to what's coming up this week. Lots of things always coming up in my head. I've been sitting with finding flow. What does that mean, finding flow? How do we balance navigating tasks and this sense of anxiety and this sense of inspiration? Where do we find the alignment? And sitting with the idea of living a quiet life. I wonder how many of you have a never-ending to-do list? I know I do. I create a to-do list every single day. And when I don't complete all tasks, it just rotates over to the next day. You know, last week I took a day off and I still set my alarm for 4:50. And when it went off, I slowly began getting up and just kind of started my normal routine. And then I paused because I heard this small little voice, this small little nudge within, right? And it was like, Mariah, go back to sleep. Enjoy this day off. And I was like, what? Go back to sleep. Enjoy this day off. I felt some resistance for sure. And I paused really to listen in, and I kept hearing the same thing. And so when I questioned myself about that resistance, I allowed myself to listen. I leaned in and I slept for another hour. And it felt good. And throughout the morning, I felt this pull to create a list. What should I do today? Right? Like there was this little weird energy that's like, I can't just chill. I need to know exactly what my day is going to be like. And then I paused again. Just to kind of notice what I was doing. Kind of call myself out on it. There you go again. I was really trying to qualify my time, right? My time off by completing a task. I need to prove to something or someone that this time that I had was not wasted. And man, we live in a world that celebrates multitasking. And I gotta tell you, I don't think we multitask well. I don't think humans are meant to multitask. But I've found that there's real power in focusing on one thing at a time. And this is especially true if we are aiming to cultivate a quiet life. From this psychological perspective, this is really about improving our focus, right? And reducing that cognitive overload. We're constantly taking things in. So whether we recognize it or not, we're bombarded with a lot of information. From a spiritual perspective, this is really about honoring the present moment and giving our full attention to what we're doing. But then again, from a more pragmatic perspective, it's about getting that stuff done, right? And often the most important work is done when we slow down. At least for me. Let's explore how we can finish one task and then move on to the next. And also slow down to connect. Because as simple as this is to be said, I feel like it is really hard to do. And I don't know how supportive our society encourages this. One of the biggest challenges we face is really distinguishing between the energy of anxiety and the energy of inspiration. Because in our world, it's often the loudest, most intense that gets our attention, right? And it's pretty easy to see why. Our brains are pretty hardwired for survival. And the loud, intense things, they're like alerts, these little notifications, this breaking news, this drama. And they often signal something that demands our immediate attention. Something that could really potentially threaten our safety, our security, our sense of belonging. I think that's why we're often drawn to the loud. The problem is that voice of anxiety, that ego, soft and loud and demanding, it could be very convincing. But here's the thing. It's often driven by fear. So, like I said, the ego is that part of us that is concerned with survival, with safety, with protecting ourselves. It wants to be in control, like all the time. It is often thinking about the past and the future, and it is constantly comparing ourselves to others, judging ourselves and judging others, and it can be very loud. Am I alone with this? Like, are you feeling me here? Are you kind of following along to this? It's that voice that says, you're not good enough. You have to get everything done perfectly. What will people think? Have you ever said any of these things to yourself? The ego is so good at its job. It just hooks us in. And it's this critical voice that gets us all caught up in self-doubt. We can't even hear our intuitive voice clearly. I think most of us don't even know what our intuition sounds like. Inspiration, on the other hand, feels like this gentle pull. There's this sense of excitement, this sense of joy, a deep knowing that we're on the right path. It just feels good. It's the voice of the soul that's guiding us. The soul is really that part of us that is connected to something greater than ourselves, to the divine, to the universe, to our own inner wisdom. It is connected to the present moment. And it really, truly knows what is important. It is the quiet whisper, this still, small voice. And it sounds different, right? It's full of love and compassion and truth. It's that voice that says, You are worthy. Trust your intuition. Follow your heart. The soul is always guiding us towards growth and alignment. But how in a world that is so loud do we distinguish between the voice of the ego and the voice of the soul? How does that connect with intuition? I believe the ultimate goal to be alignment. I consider myself to be an introvert. I find this sense of clarity in silence and solitude, and it really makes it easier for me to connect with my intuition in this way. There's something about these quiet moments that allow me to discern really between the ego's chatter and that soft whisper of my innate inner wisdom. Being in alignment is about living in harmony with my values, with your values and your passions and really your true self. It's about making choices that are in alignment with your inner compass, your inner guide, right? It leads you towards a life of purpose and meaning. The life of purpose and meaning that you came into this world with. That may still be very clear to you or might be overwhelmed by the loudness. And you know, this isn't always easy. I mean, that's real talk. This is not always easy. Sometimes we get off track. A lot of times we get off track. And sometimes we make choices that are not in alignment with our values. And that is okay. Because we can always come back. If we can keep giving ourselves grace and offering ourselves self-compassion, we can come back to finding that harmony within ourselves. The more we practice, the more we build our self-awareness, which really helps us navigate these thoughts instead of letting them dominate. And even though I consider myself to be an introvert, it's important for me to connect with others. I really enjoy it. I thrive on it as well in small doses. And it also gives me the ability to continue to practice this. Can I discern between the ego's chatter and the soft whisper of my inner wisdom when I'm not in solitude, when I'm not in silence? Because as humans, I don't think we're meant to be on our own forever, hauled up in a cave, solo dolo style. No. So how do we find alignment? I've been considering this, and I've been considering my own practices to kind of share what I've been playing with. Listen to your intuition by asking yourself, what does my intuition feel like? Begin to pay attention to your body, allowing yourself to make space for mindfulness. And ask yourself, does this feel right? Remember the quiet whisper of your soul. The voice of the ego is always trying to be heard. So don't get that twisted. Now, let me say it again. The voice of the ego is always trying to be heard. And so it's often easy to ignore your intuition, because intuition is that quiet voice that guides us. It's that voice that whispers yes or no, go or stay. It's that deep resonance, that feeling in your heart. It is the voice of the soul. It is the voice that is connected to all of life. And by tuning into your heart and your inner wisdom, you can learn really to trust your intuition as a guiding force. How often do you allow your intuition to guide you? Allow yourself to explore how to listen to your own intuition. What has been your practice up until this point? You might create a space because we need space to hear until you can discern more clearly. And just kind of allow. You can't make it happen, right? You can't force it, you can't control it, so allow it to unfold naturally, organically. And maybe another piece would be to slow down, because this isn't a race. So slow it way down so that you can listen. Slow it way, way down. But I feel like there's no one way to create alignment, right? So this is just an idea. Like I said, this is an idea that I have been playing with. This is an idea that has been working for me. And if I reflect over my life, I can clearly recognize when I didn't listen to the whispers. And maybe at those times I might have been not offering myself as much self-compassion as I might at this age of wisdom that I have. But again, those were lessons that I needed to strengthen my inner knowing. So this week, I invite you to try a few things. So choose one task from that long to-do list and commit to finish it before moving on to anything else. And I don't want to tell you like you have to do this, but just like, are you open to challenging yourself? Are you open to pushing your comfort zone? And perhaps you notice the energy, right? As you work on that task. I invite you to pay attention to the energy that is driving you. Is it the ego or is it the soul? Notice, how does it make you feel? Be curious about where you feel it in your body. And I invite you to play a game. Notice the sensation and sit with it for a moment, observing if the feeling moves, if it shifts anywhere. Can you just observe it? Can you witness it? And if it feels like the soul, lean into it. If it feels like the ego, maybe pause, take a few deep breaths and ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? Remember that you are the artist of your life. So what are you going to do to create it? There is power in this sense of a quiet life. And I wonder, what does a quiet life look like for you? Perhaps you consider if the tasks you're working on are helping you to live in the quiet. Again, whatever that means for you, because my quiet life, well, it ain't gonna look like your quiet life. And that's all right. There's no one way. And perhaps you ask yourself, what does my intuition have to say about this? Remember, this journey of life is not always a straight line. It is not linear. There will be many times that we feel overwhelmed, when we're feeling uncertain, when we feel off track. And again, that's okay, because it's part of the process. I feel like the key is to keep coming back to your inner compass, to keep listening to the whispers of your soul, to keep making choices that are in alignment with your values. And your values aren't for life, so, reflect on them from time to time. And of course, really to be kind to yourself along the way. And just a gentle reminder that you're not alone. We are navigating some ups and downs, but that has been historically what humans have been doing, navigating the ups and downs. And so you're not alone. This month, I encourage you to continue to find those small ways to incorporate mindfulness into your daily life. I know that they are small, but these simple things that you start to incorporate really can help regulate your nervous system so that you can navigate these ups and downs. You might take a few mindful breaths throughout the day or notice the sensations in your body, but really paying attention to the world around you, experiencing it, trying to be intentional about focusing and finding some positive things that you're experiencing, right? Because our human brain often just gravitates and grabs onto that negative stuff. I invite you to bring that quality of mindful presence to all that you do. And this week, don't forget to choose that one thing to focus on, because I believe in you. I know you can do hard things. Once again, thank you for being here, either on, whatever channel you're joining us by. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss a session here at the Sanctuary. Still welcoming your experiences. I want to hear from your sanctuary voice. What does healing look like for you, or whatever else you want to share? I am here for it all. You can connect at thesanctuarywithmoriahmyles at gmail.com. All together, no spaces. Or head over to IG. That's my_Mariah. Until next time, embrace each breath and remember our bodies have this innate wisdom, the beautiful ability to heal itself. And we heal best in community. Peace, y'all. While this podcast may feel like a therapeutic conversation, it is important to note that it is not a substitute for professional therapy or mental health. The information shared here is intended solely for educational purposes and should not be used as a replacement for personalized mental health care. Although I am a therapist, I'm not acting as your therapist in this setting. If you are in need of support, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional.